see.
Testing. There it is. Are you good? Good morning. Are we good? Are we live on Facebook and YouTube? Well, welcome to people who are in the room and to those on Facebook and YouTube. And thank you for wearing masks in the room. Let us open by affirming the following statement, and online, I hope you'll join us. We say three things together. It is good to be, it is good to be here, it is so good to be here together. Let us do it together. It is good to be. It is good to be here and there. It is so good to be here and there together. Welcome, one and all. If we haven't met before, my name is Alison Miller, and I have the great privilege of serving this congregation as minister. And I want to welcome you on this very special day of activities. You're going to be hearing more about that in just a little bit. But we want to open with a celebratory announcement. As you heard at Ingathering, we had a generous donation from Jihan Chu, from the Chu family, of $2 million. And that set us on a course of completing the fundraising we needed in order to create the new addition, the classrooms, the welcome gallery, the kitchen, the fellowship hall, the accessible parking, all of the beautiful things that will exist in just a couple of years. But we needed to raise $2 more million. Today, we have a very exciting announcement, and I'm going to tell you what it is and why it is just as exciting. We have just reached over $1 million towards the $2 million we needed to raise in just 1 month since the kickoff in mid-October. Amazing. And even more amazing, I'm feeling emotional about it, is that Joe Erhane and Beth Wilson, through the 3 campaigns, will reach $500,000 in gifts. And we will be naming that welcome gallery the Erhane-Wilson Family Welcome Gallery, which is so appropriate for these two. And it is just such incredible generosity that we celebrate today. So thank you, Joe, and thank you, Beth. And just to be clear, we're over $1 million, and they've just added $320,000 more to the pledge that they already had, which means other people have also been generous. But the magnitude of this is incredible, and I know that it's taken years and will take years more, so we do not take it for granted. Would you like to come up and say something to our congregation? Yeah. This is on, right, Alex? Testing.
The pipe.
Yeah, good.
We both started coming here in 1979. We were married here in the meeting room in 1981, and we have been supporting the fellowship for over 40 years. Our daughter, Jennifer, went through the RE program beginning in the 2nd grade, and our son, Eric, went from kindergarten on. After high school, the kids came back and thanked us for having them attend. We've each gotten many insights and much support from participating in the fellowship.
That 1979 date, I was 29 years old. And suddenly, next year, I find I'm turning 72. And that means, along with Joe, I can use my IRA required minimum distribution to donate to the Capital Fund tax-free. And we are both so happy that we are able to do that for all of us.
And just so we're very transparent, these are the naming opportunities for the campaign. I know it's been shared, but I want to be sure to reshare it. There is the fellowship hall, the welcome gallery. There is the outdoor courtyard. There are 2 classrooms, and there is the kitchen, and so that everybody knows. And 500,000 will pay for that welcome gallery. So many people say Joe Erhane was the first person that welcomed them. It's just so perfect. And Beth is an artist, and naturally it's going to be a place of welcome and beauty. So thank you, thank you, thank you. This week, Steve Parker has organized on Thursday on Zoom at 7 o'clock an accounting professional, Dan Swift, who is going to share with anyone that would like to know more about giving, especially retired minimum distributions, but ways to give that are tax advantaged. So all are welcome to sign up for that and to show up for that. The link is in my pastoral update and in the Wednesday e-blast. With that, I would love to call Tish Hamilton to come forward and share a couple more announcements. And it is so good to be here with you today.
Good morning. My name is Tish Hamilton, and I am today's Sunday associate. And I just have to say, I'm another one who, when I first came here, Joe Erhane was the first one to greet me and welcome me. So it just seems really fantastic. We just have a couple more announcements. First, for newcomers or people who've been here for a while, there's an in-person and online Getting to Know You class. It's coming up on Saturday, December 4th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Lunch will be provided. You can sign up by emailing welcome@muuf.org with your name, email, and dietary preferences. Second, as many of you know, today is our service auction launch. So this morning during coffee hours, our service auction will begin out on the terrace. There's something for everyone, including raffle activities for the kids and after their RE classes. Bidding in person will give you the largest choice of items and events, and I'm going to be telling you a little bit more about this later on in the service. Next, the Lunch Bunch is starting back up today. They'll be meeting weekly at 12:45 at the Florham Park Diner on Ridgefield Avenue. Everyone is welcome. Finally, our offering this morning will be split 50-50 between our fellowship and Family Promise, an organization that helps homeless families gain the resources they need to be able to sustain a living and also provides temporary housing. And now we'll have the chalice lighting. Love is the spirit of this fellowship, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth and love, and to help one another. And now to Stearns.
I invite you to rise in body and or spirit and remain masked. Unfortunately, we're still doing that whole thing. And join in humming to your heart's delight, Building a New Way. a new way, feeling stronger every day. We are building a new way. We are working to be free. We are working to be free. We are working to be free. Pain and greed and jealousy. We are working to be free. We can feed our every need. We can feed our every need. We can feed our every need. Start with love, that is the seed. We can feed our every need. We appear peace and freedom is our cry. Peace and freedom is our cry. Peace and freedom is our cry. Without these, this world will die. Peace and freedom is our cry.
So our projector is misbehaving this morning. Oh, and I've got my mask caught on my earring. There we go. Our projector is misbehaving, so we're using the television screen. Are people able to see it well enough in the room? And hopefully somewhat online too. This is a book called Together, and it's really an artist's book. Often books say, written by so-and-so, illustrated by someone else, but this book is actually by the illustrator, and words written by their companion. The author is Marianne Laidlaw, so the images are important. Life can seem like a machine in constant motion. There's no time to stop. The clock is ticking, and there's always somewhere we need to be. Even when we're too busy to think, our daily rhythm sweeps us along. We can rush through our days without seeing them. But I remember the storm that year. An uneasy feeling was creeping amongst us. Crowds began to dwindle. Dark clouds were looming in the distance. We watched them gather, and we wondered, when will it come? How long will it last? It's hard not having all the answers. And at once, everything stopped. Life's engine ground to a halt. We could feel the weight of the dark sky overhead. Streets were suddenly deserted. Quiet, where once there was an orchestra of noise. The busiest of places stood empty and still. Normal things began to feel strange. Strange things began to feel normal. We were adrift. Fear can be a funny thing. It doesn't always shine a flattering light. And you may not be able to see it, but here we have a woman shopping. There's one thing left in the aisle, and this is a grocery cart piled high. Fear can be a funny thing. It doesn't always shine a flattering light. It can make us forget that others are scared too. We took shelter knowing the worst was yet to come. Weeks went by. It rained and rained. It felt like it would never end. Heroes amongst us stepped forward. They held us together and put others first, period. They were battling the storm in ways that most of us couldn't even imagine. We were humbled by their courage. They deserved our applause and so much more. It's hard to be separated. Worries can seem to overflow. We felt so far apart. We began to understand the distances that had been between us already, and that loneliness can beat its drum in the largest crowd. But being alone doesn't have to feel lonely. How many of you wound up getting a new dog this past year? When life became smaller, we found space to see the bigger picture. Perhaps we were more similar than we thought. We were united by our separation. We were together in being apart. We talked, we listened. Our sadness, grief, and worry, we shared our stories and experiences. Hard times can help us find the best that we can be, and little things can mean a lot. Some of us found we had more time. Time presents us with ideas to plant like seeds, and the patience to nurture them and watch them grow. We found new ways to keep in touch. Our homes became dance halls and classrooms and bakeries. In slowing down, we woke up to the most important things of all. We began to understand that the sun was still there, rising and setting, waiting, even when the clouds were at their darkest. We marveled at nature and drew comfort from the trees that had weathered the storms for decades and still stood strong. Their endurance reassured us. We thought about their roots, strong and silent in the earth, and felt grounded. In a time of uncertainty, we found comfort in the seasons. The moon, the stars, and the birds watched over us. In stepping back, we had left the path clear for nature to step forwards. And when slowly the rain and winds began to subside, when the clouds became lighter, and at long last sunlight filtered through, a new column emerged. We valued our connections. We shared a kinder perspective, and now we look with hope to the future. Though clouds may gather again, and we will see other storms, we have realized, most of all, that we are stronger when facing them together.
And now it is time in our service when we give and receive. Our offering will be split 50-50 between the Morristown UU Fellowship and Family Promise. You can donate at the text to give number 73256 with the keyword MUUF, followed by the dollar amount. You can also give by going to www.muuf.org. The offering will be gratefully received. Thank you.
So our next reflection is by Marcia Ivins, who will be at the second service but doesn't have the energy to be at both. I believe the sound is going to come from back there, is that right? And then the video, and then just the picture of her, or the whole thing's coming from here? Just the picture. Okay. The sound is coming from the back?
Okay. We didn't coordinate this very well. I can play it there, but I don't think it's loud enough.
Okay.
So.
Well, I'll just say one thing quickly while we're waiting for that to tee up. In this book, there's a wonderful image at the end of a grandfather embracing his grandson. And I know there have been emerging stories of reunions, of family from across the country. And it is such a time I think we don't take for granted those possibilities. And Marcia is also a grandmother and has delighted when she's been able to see her grandchildren. Are we ready in the back? Okay, great. She's at Cedar Crest in Pompton Plains.
Good morning. Until 4.5 years ago, I led a very happy, busy life in Chatham. I had a job cleaning houses. I facilitated poetry and pastries and open reading for 15 years. I belonged to writing groups. I taught beginning writing in several local colleges. I went to AA meetings at least 4 to 5 nights a week, but the best part was being with my grandchildren. At the same time, I was making a difficult choice for me to move to an adult community. I would come home a bit tired after these full days, but all of a sudden the tired morphed into exhaustion. I decided to see my doctor. He did some blood tests and told me to see an oncologist immediately. That is when my world turned upside down. I was diagnosed with bone marrow cancer, for which there is no cure. General lifetime is 4 to 5 years. I am on 4.5 years now. I have been on a steady round of medicines and treatments since then, but I won't give up. There are too many activities here for me. I just finished giving a 3-session class on beginner's poetry, acted in a play, and so on. I wake up and wonder if I will feel too tired or too cold to leave my apartment. I get transfusions every 2 to 3 weeks, as my doctor says, to keep me going. Every day I feel more and more of the disease winning. Living with uncertainty is difficult, one day at a time. I have great support from my children, my grandchildren, my many friends here where I live, and of course, Reverend Alison. You cannot see my cancer, nor can you see that of a dear friend. So when people say to either of us, how wonderful we look, our stock answer is, it's the makeup. It's our joke. Laughter eases uncertainty. Thank you.
Thank you. Marcia and I started meeting at the, well, she's been in the congregation for several years, but we started meeting at the beginning of the pandemic to work on her memorial service, wondering if she would make it to the other side. And she and I have had so many conversations, and she's had so many powerful learnings that I didn't want you to miss out. She'll be here at the second service, but it's too much to be at 2 services. So in case you're watching, Marcia, the projector's not working, I'm so glad you'll be here in the second service, but that's why we had you still on the screen. But your voice sounded wonderful. See you soon. Let us enter a time of meditation and prayer. And I invite you to put your feet firmly on the ground, thinking about the lessons in that book and from the trees. Spirit of life, flowing in us and through us and among us. May each one of us feel deeply rooted. May we feel our feet on the good earth below. And may we feel the echo of footsteps that have gone before us. People who have walked the lands where we live, who have faced turmoil and trial, and have managed to face it with a stout but light heart. Oh, that's fine, that's perfect. And may we also reach with our arms to the future, with the sounds of children in the room reminding us that those who have gone before and we also walk in beauty and joy. May we indeed notice the beautiful sun and sky above us. May we know she is there, even when hidden by a storm. And may the lessons of this season of loss and transformation, of emergence and regeneration, move us towards more abundant life. May we learn, while we cannot sing together, how to dance together and move in ways that create more joy, more justice, and more hope for all of us in an embracing circle around every county and every country on the planet. Amen, and blessed be, and may it be so. Right? Exactly. And now we sing again, or hum again, or no, this is you?
No, hum.
Hum and dance, right? This could be a new thing.
Absolutely.
People could stand and move, or sit and move,
Yeah.
or roll and move, whatever's available. We might
Please roll in body or spirit as we sing together. Whoa, yeah. We are going, heaven knows where we are going, but we know within, and we will get there. Heaven knows how we will get there, but we know we will. It will be hard, we know, and the road will be muddy and rough, but we'll get there. Heaven knows how we will get there, but we know we will. Oh yeah yeah, oh yeah yeah, oh yeah, yeah, oh yeah, yeah. We are going, heaven knows where we are going, but we know within. And we will get there, heaven knows how we will get there, but we know we will. It will be hard, we know, and the road will be muddy and rough, but we'll get there. Heaven knows how we will get there, but we know we will. Oh yeah, yeah, oh yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, yeah, oh yeah, yeah, oh yeah, yeah, oh yeah, yeah.
Movement and music do the heart good. I want to open with one of my favorite tales connected to a time of change. A Sufi tale about a stream. It is told in many different ways, and this is one of them. High in a far-off mountain, a little spring sprang from a hidden source. It flowed down the mountain over all different kinds of terrain, sometimes leaping and bubbling, sometimes drifting lazily or going underground. But it was never stopped by any obstacle that might have gotten in its way, until one day it reached the edge of a vast desert. Just one more step, it said, one more obstacle. Nothing has ever stopped me from flowing. I will overcome this obstacle too. So the stream flung itself at the desert, but each time it did, its waters simply disappeared, vanishing into nothingness, swallowed up by the dry, hot sand. But if it was its destiny to cross that desert, it thought, I will surely find a way. The wind can cross the desert, it declared, and so can the stream. I know I must cross this desert, but every time I try, the sand swallows me up. No matter how hard I fling myself at the desert, I don't seem to get any farther. You won't be able to cross the desert using the old ways, replied the desert. I am not like a boulder or a tree or a rock ledge. It is no use hurling yourself at the desert like that. You will never cross sand like this. You will simply disappear or turn into marshland. You must trust the wind to carry you across the desert. You must let yourself be carried. How can the wind carry me across the desert? Asked the stream. You must let yourself be absorbed into the wind, and then the wind will carry you. No, cried the stream, I am a stream with a nature and identity of my own. I don't want to lose myself. I don't want to be absorbed into the wind. That's what the wind does. Trust me and trust the wind. If you let yourself be absorbed by the wind, it will carry you across the desert and let you fall again on the other side, and you will be a stream again. But I won't be the same stream. I won't be who I am now. I won't be this particular stream. The desert understood the dilemma, but it also understood the mystery. You're right, said the desert. I am? You won't be the same stream you are now if you fling yourself into the sand and turn into a marsh. Let the wind carry you across the desert, and the real you, the heart of you, the essence of everything you truly are, will be born again on the other side, to flow a new course, to be a river that you can't even imagine from where you are resting now. So the stream thought for a long while, but deep in its heart, it had a memory of a wind that could be trusted and a horizon that was always out of reach, but always a new beginning. So the stream took a deep breath and surrendered itself to the power of the wind, and the wind took the vapor of the stream in strong and loving arms and took it high above the desert, far beyond the horizon, and let it fall again softly at the top of a new mountain. And the stream began only then to know who it truly was. Change is the one constant, yet we resist it. Perhaps that is because it is so often accompanied by loss. As a pastor, I have learned that even through positive changes, we experience grief. When we are changed, it is true, we are no longer exactly the same. We mourn the identity of who we were before the change, even if we also eagerly embrace the new possibilities of who we are becoming. When a youth leaves the home of their childhood, they may relish the arrival to the next place and all that waits for them there. But they will undoubtedly also miss their room, their family, their favorite dinner, and more. When people are becoming parents, they may be very excited to welcome their child into the world. However, so often, before the baby is born, they share a desire to experience their favorite pastimes one last time, knowing it will be different, and they will be different the next time. When people share they are retiring, I try to remember to take a breath and to listen before offering any kind of congratulations, knowing that their heart may be processing grief at that moment, even if they wanted to retire. Some changes are wanted, some are delightful and expected or unexpected. Some are unwanted, but come all the same. Some are a mixed bag, as they say. Some are minor and quick. Some are major. We wonder if we will ever get our bearings again. Many significant changes are a long time in formation. And we may spend a lot of time in a liminal, emerging space. In the summer of 2000, I received my first stole from the young adult and campus ministry group that I was leading in New York. It was actually a scarf with chalices on it, but they made it clear when they put it on my shoulders that they meant it as a stole, as an affirmation of the ministry that I had shared with them and was moving toward. I'm so glad it was a scarf, because according to custom in our tradition, you're never supposed to wear a stole until you're ordained. So I could wear it without offending any future colleagues and be reminded of where I was heading and how I was changing. It would take 3 years of divinity school, followed by a rotation at a hospital, followed by 1 year as a full-time intern, plus a couple of months into a professional ministry before I was ordained as a minister and received the gift of my first stole, officially anyway. We are living in a time of emergence, a long time formation in the wake of an experience that none of us wanted. We have lived through a collective trauma, the pandemic, and we are different than we were before, whether or not we wished to change. We certainly didn't wish to be changed by such a depth of loss. Millions of souls. Some of us over the last couple of years, like Marcia, who we just heard from, who bravely shared her story with us, have also experienced personal changes which included significant losses that they didn't want either. We live in these marvelous bodies that are filled with mind and spirit. This leads to the miracle of being human, which includes the ability to think, to feel, to love, to create art, to make a difference, to engineer wonders, and to care for the next generation. But these bodies are finite and flawed. Pain and illness can arise, and one day our hearts will cease to beat. We don't know when that will happen or how far we will have come. All we know is that we have this moment in this room and online together. The rest is uncertain. That, of course, is what paradoxically makes the here and now of living so precious, even though some people struggle with that reality. I remember when I was becoming a minister, we had 2 days of psychological testing, and also a doctor was supposed to review our health. Well, my doctor gave me a clean bill of health, but the psychologist in the room couldn't get over the fact that I was also a cancer survivor. And so she wrote lots of nice things about me becoming a minister, but a big asterisk that I was a risky investment with an uncertain future as to when I would die. And I called her up and said, well, that makes me like everyone else. And by the way, I'm a 30-year survivor, which I say with humility and not certainty. We don't have forever. Change is the only constant. Like the water in the stream, our lives involve constant transformation, constant endings, and new beginnings. Uncertainty and change bring grief, but they also can offer grace. When we are sad, when we are feeling despair, there is the possibility of change. Our minds and spirits can move from hopelessness to healing to joy. I treasure the story of a man, we'll call him John, who was hospitalized, who was diagnosed as bipolar, who was struggling with whether or not it was worth it to survive another day, who did survive, who left that hospital, who experienced a lessening of the pain and the creeping in of a will to thrive, who emerged from that place and over the next several years became a cognitive behavioral therapist, companioning others on the journey to quench their psychological pain. Certainty isn't always all it's cracked up to be. Thank goodness people outlive expectations, surprise even themselves at times, and defy odds. Thank goodness everything isn't known, right? Nan, I'm looking at you about our strategic plan. We know where we're going, but do we know everything it'll take to get there? No, thank goodness everything isn't known. These have yielded the gifts of creativity, curiosity, and the drive to change in ways that lead us to something better for each one of you and for me and for others. As well-known Unitarian minister Ralph Waldo Emerson wrote, "In nature, every moment is new. The past is always swallowed and forgotten. The coming only is sacred. Nothing is secure but life, transition, and the energizing spirit. No truth so sublime, but it may be trivial tomorrow in light of new thoughts. People wish to be settled. Only as far as they are unsettled is there any hope for them. Life is a series of surprises. Recognizing that change and novelty are a part of what make life worth living, we must also figure out how to face encounters with uncertainty and change which make us doubt that truth. The changes we don't want and are companioned by pain, isolation, and desolation. How do we move forward? How do we lean into those desert times when our thirst is seemingly endless? There are many who have suffered greatly in this period we are moving through. The pandemic has revealed the fragility of our health, and it has revealed the pain of people on the margins or on the front lines bearing the brunt of change. Changes even before the pandemic. People who are more vulnerable because of the injustices of unfettered capitalism, refusing to act to stem the tide of climate change and racism and other oppressions. Many have cried out, "When, O Lord, will things return to normal? I long for the way that life used to be when we were together." While others have cried out, "When, O Lord, will the revolution be complete? Don't simply take us back. Take us forward to the other side, another side, when we will finally be together." We are emerging from this time, which will continue to be a process. 5 to 11-year-olds now finally have access to the vaccine, and yet the Morris School District High School just, you may not know this, went virtual again for the next 10 days because of rising COVID rates in the school. I invite you to honor the liminal time we find ourselves in, both collectively and individually. The word liminal comes from the Latin limen, which means threshold. We are neither in the place we were before, nor are we yet in the place we will be. We are at a doorway of change. In order to move forward, we must accept that change is a part of life, and that means being willing to move through the steps of grief, who are our companions through change. Just to remind you, Elizabeth Kubler-Ross describes these 5 steps: denial, anger, bargaining, depression, acceptance. We don't move through these linearly. We go back and forth and around the threshold for a while. Perhaps we should call it a hallway, that we can move around between 2 places, 2 identities. The we before COVID, the we after COVID. When we want to simply get back to normal without examining all we have learned through this experience, without having to be or behave differently, that sounds a lot like denial. When we said at the beginning that we would only separate from one another just for 2 months, that's it. I'm gonna do it, but it's gonna be 2 months, okay? That sounded a lot like bargaining. And I want to look today at anger, depression, and acceptance together, for right now anyway. We experience anger and sadness about the losses that we cannot change. And time and perspective are a balm for that wound. Life always has a beginning and an end. Just because a life was cut short doesn't mean that it didn't have great purpose and meaning, or that the people we loved and the love that they gave away won't continue to matter onward and forward into our lives. That is how we glimpse eternity at times. The pandemic has had another experience of anger, sadness, and I would argue for non-acceptance and remaining unsettled in this case. Injustice is a cause of righteous anger and sadness about losses that we could do something about going forward. Acceptance is about what we cannot change. In this case, we are called to remain unsettled and to embrace the uncertainty of building new ways and better ways that bring more abundant life and love into being. In the parable of the stream, when it had the courage to release the grief and let go of part of what had been normal, it was able to transform and ultimately became a river. A river of streams came together to become something more than any of them could have been on their own, carrying with them currents of life more abundant than they could have imagined before. It took the collective streams time to cross the long threshold of the desert, but by allowing themselves to be changed by what they learned and by what they lost, and by being open to what could emerge, not knowing yet exactly what it would be, they were transformed. Friends, here we are, like water being carried on the wind in the desert. We are changing in ways that we don't fully understand as individuals, as a congregation, and as a wider community of local counties and countries around the globe. Let us use this liminal time wisely. Let us mourn and let go. It is the only way to move forward, to acknowledge and tend our grief. And let us be opened by curiosity and creativity and courage to land on the other side and to practice a way of being human that is teeming with life, that allows us to see that our fates are intertwined with others winding towards the sea. I think this time of grief and isolation has allowed us to be together in ways we have never quite been before, and to acknowledge the ways that we were isolated before the pandemic. What we need now is to move forward on a path of healing, knowing at least this much at this time when there's so much we don't know. That while we will never quite be the same, if we embrace our unsettled nature as Emerson invites us to do, we may become more connected than we ever were before. Connected to one another, connected to love, connected to life, connected to liberation, connected to the part and whole of the wide universe, which is our home. May we move deliberately. May we move towards life. Amen, and blessed be, and may it be so. And now will you rise in humming and dancing to our closing song? And then we're going to kick off the auction. We're going to have a short announcement with instructions in here, and you can go out and enjoy the festivities.
Grow dark with storms and burdens weigh my heart. though troubles wait at every turn, I know I can go on when sorrow heals my soul and burdens make me strong. Though troubles wait at every turn, I know I can go on. My sister in my heart, my brother in my song. Though troubles wait at every turn, I know I can go on. And though the journey is long, the destination is clear. Though troubles wait at every turn, I know I can go on. So brothers, take my hand, and sisters, sing my song. Though troubles wait at every turn, I know I can go on.
Beautiful, Stearns. I know you can't wait until everyone can sing with you on things that are not meant to be solos, but I want you to know that we could hang here for a couple of months getting to hear you humming and dancing. I'm just saying. I know we've had to do a lot of awkward things during the pandemic.
And the new piano.
And the new piano, it's true, it's true. So let us go forth knowing that this is the day that we are given. So let us rejoice and today build some community in it during our service auction. And I'm heading out to meet our children for the first part and to share the story with them. And Tish is going to share the instructions so you can sit down just to hear those. But go forth and spread joy this day in spite of the uncertainty and the unsettledness. And remember, as Emerson says, sometimes it's the very thing, the surprise of this day could be the very thing that makes life worth living. I hope it is, and may you be a blessing to one another and to the world. Off to the kids, and you can give them the kickoff message.
All right, good morning again. So, as I said earlier, this morning during our coffee hour, our service auction will be kicked off right out on the terrace. So Alison is going out to meet with the children and read the story on the oval after their classes. And the story, of course, is the one we heard today and relates to today's service. Then there's going to be kids' raffle activities. So you can still purchase tickets for your little ones, $1 per ticket if you haven't got them already. And the kids will write their names on their tickets and place them in the bags for the items that they'd most like to win. There are games, toys, gift cards, snacks, and lots more they can win. And everyone will get some kind of prize. So if you have kids or little ones in our RE classes, you're going to go out through the back door in just a few minutes and go straight out to the oval. We're giving Alison some time to read the story to the kids. Once your kids have their tickets and wait for the drawings of the winners' names, you can go over to the terrace. Everyone else will go straight out to the terrace, going out through the side door of the meeting room. And if you have special needs, you can go through the building to the Great Hall and someone will assist you to the terrace. Everyone's going to get a numbered ticket, so about 20 masked people at a time can enter the terrace bidding room. So you'll go through the outer doors of the terrace, you'll get your numbered ticket, and then while you're waiting, there'll be some hot beverages, and you can listen or sing along with songs from the 60s. And I understand they're about being on the road, or dreaming of places to go, or being homeward bound. And we travel in our minds and recall what a long, strange trip it's been for the past year for all of us. We hope everyone will find some gatherings and items they'd like to bid on. Pick up a printed copy of the catalog by the terrace room outer doors so you can look through and see what you'd like to bid on while you're waiting. There's also a one-page short catalog to highlight items when you go inside. Please remember after you leave to return your full catalog at the door so others can browse through it while they wait to go inside. This is, as you know, a fundraiser and a fundraiser, a big chunk of change for our annual budget, while also having lots of fun with our members of our wonderful community. There are all kinds of cool things to bid on, including handcrafted art pieces, jewelry, monthly desserts from Vicki Hicks. There are outings, there are classes, there's food to go, there are dinner parties at people's houses, gatherings at the fellowship, and all kinds of other things, fun events. Bidding is in person this morning. They will give you the largest choice of items and events so generously donated. And it's a world record this year of 140 items donated. Wow. If you can't stay for kickoff activities, online bidding begins this afternoon at 3. There are instructions about how to do that on the service auction page of the website, WUUF.org. All right, I have talked as slowly as I can. So now we're going to move slowly into the service auction kickoff. Parents and others with little ones are going to go out through the back doors and meet their little ones on the oval. Alison may not be quite done, so we'll see where they are. And then everyone else can go out through the side door to the terrace and have fun. Thank you very much.